Howdy all and welcome to Lex Lives. I think it's time we play a little 7 Days to Die. Hey zombie. Gonna do a little exploring today, since I still need more points and stuffs like that. I saw there's a road I have not taken yet out of the town down south here. So I thought I would head out to that road and see where it goes. My bike is like sinking in the ground there or something. Um, yeah. So I'm on the newest book of that book series I've been reading, The Land. Book 7. I gotta tell you, I think he's getting worse with the stat blocks. I I get that you're kind of basing your story off of the way RPGs work, but I don't need 5 straight pages of stat blocks every other chapter. It's got this, like, I don't know, most of them are like, here's the things that, here's the points I got for going up a level, and I could buy some abilities, and these are the abilities I bought. And then something happens, so you get to see him use the abilities. This one's like all math, and it means nothing. uh, I don't care that he gets a higher percentage to enchant items. How about we just say, oh, he learned the skill to enchant, and go on with your story. Nope, I need to go farther south yet. Not this one, the next one. And I like the story. I like the story in between the stat blocks, but there's a lot of stat blocks. Especially now, because he travels around with companions, they call them, and they're... I don't know exactly what makes a companion, but he has like a handful of them now. And when they travel together, they all go up levels together. They're not like teammates, because he's only ever met, as far as I know, one other person from Earth. Everyone else is, you know, born in the land. And, so, so I don't know what differentiates between them and other people. Because he knows lots of people because he runs his own village. And so I don't quite understand what makes someone a companion. But every time they do something, you then get 1 or 2 pages of stat blocks for him, and then 1 or 2 pages of stat blocks for his mini dragon, 1 or 2 pages of stat blocks for his tank type, 1 or 2 pages of stat blocks for his ranger type, which are his companions, 1 or 2 stat blocks for his rogue type. Maybe he brought a cleric with him this time, 1 or 2 stat blocks for the cleric type. And I'm like, I don't really need to see their stats. They haven't got new abilities. I don't need to keep seeing their stats. You want to say, ooh, look, he went up 7 levels. Oh, and that's the other thing. Everything he does, he goes up multiple levels. And so it's just like, before you see the stat blocks, is 2 pages of level up messages. And so it's a very weird book. And it's gotten worse, because the higher he goes, the bigger the things he does, and the more skills increase. And the dude writing these is like, every skill increase has got to be on the paper. Yeah, so I definitely prefer Ascend Online. Is still my favorite of this style of book. Theirs is a little different though, because they're actually playing an MMO. At least it seems like they're playing an MMO. They can leave it and go back into the real world when they need to, and I don't know. It's just there's a lot of stat pages that I feel like the book would be 2/3 of its size easily if you just cut down on the number of times you gotta see the stat page. Uh, like why not just once in between chapters, just for him. We don't need anybody else's stats. Oh, and he's got this ability called Analyze. So every time he runs into something, he uses Analyze and then brings up a stat block page on whatever it is he's looking at. Bad guys, monsters, other people in his city, just constant stat blocks. And so it's really, really bizarre how enamored the author is of the stat pages. Nope, didn't go far enough south yet. And so I do find it kind of distracting. I really am enjoying the story in between the stats, though. It's been pretty good so far. Don't touch. Yeah. We played our game of D&D this week, so now I'm going to talk about that. Sometimes I tell you, we finished up last session, which was 2 weeks ago, because we didn't play last week, and we finished up our previous session with talking to this genie, and he was like telling us like our DM likes to talk. He doesn't care what he's saying, just as long as he gets to talk. And so every time you run into any NPC, they want to share with you all the information. And it was pretty annoying a couple of sessions ago because we didn't want to go back to town, because he always wants us to go back to town. Every time we play, he's like, you should go back to town. There might be new stuff available. I'm like, yeah, no, we're in the middle of a mission. You should go back to town. They might have information about your mission. Yeah, no, I don't want to go back to town. You should go back. I don't want to go back to town. Stop telling me what to do. And so a couple of sessions ago, we didn't go back to town. So the dude with the information found us in the middle of nowhere. Just happened to be wandering by so that he could stop and provide us with much information. And so this genie was the same way. He does weird dice rolls, and so we asked him a question, and I don't remember if we even asked him a question, because he plays a character who goes with us on our team, sort of. And so I think that character might have asked the question, and so then he says he rolled his dice and he got a natural 20. And so the genie knew everything, and so he just told us everything about the dungeon. I stopped listening because it went on for a long time, and then he gave us this quest: go fight the leader of the cult, who's in this temple right next to where we're at. She possesses a magic horn that allows her to summon him, and so he wants us to fight her and get her to summon him, and then he will fight us while we fight her, but he will, quote, pull his punches. Because even though there's a horn that summons him, that requires him to do one task for the person, and I'm a little vague on that because it seems like he's already been given a task, and so I'm a little confused as to how he's been given a task, but she can give him a second task, because he's not supposed to be able to even have a task for 101 years after he completes his task. And the last time he was here, according to everything we'd been given, was hundreds of years before, when he helped build the complex that we're in before it collapsed. And so now that he's back, I don't know who summoned him, but he's trying to clear the place again. And but that's not my issue. My issue is he wants us to go fight something while he fights us as well. And so I'm debating whether we should just fight him now and kill him and get the loot from killing him, the XP. Although, what does XP matter at this point? Because we're not allowed to level. And so... I really need to stop wasting my 9mm bullets. I'm going to want those for my trap. And, ooh, duct tape's always good. And so, I should probably go in this grocery store here and see if there's any foods available. So anyways, so we finished talking to that guy, and then that's where we ended our session. And so last night, we picked up there. And so we decided not to attack him because we weren't sure. Like, I know, the characters don't know, but I know, ooh, let's go ahead and get that thing right now, that he's a pretty high level character. He's CR 11. So he should be able to fight 4 level 11 characters. And, oop, I definitely need that. And, we're level 7 because our DM won't let us level. And so we dude, did I leave the house with no water? I'm pretty sure I left the house with no water. So we opted not to fight him. And so then our DM does this thing where he just takes control of our characters and walks them into traps. He'll be like, do you want to enter the area? And we're like, what are we looking at? And he's like, well, you're looking at open doors, so you'll walk through the open doors. Oh, it was a trap. You're under attack. And they're going to get a first attack against you. There's nothing you can do about it. And then after that, we'll roll to see if you get to attack. And so it's super annoying. And so he asks what we're doing, and we're in this room that opens up into an open walkway that leads to the temple. Now, the genie told us that there was a wyvern on top of this temple, and that he could see all along the path. And so the sorcerer on our team, he's like, I wanna walk up quietly and peek around the corner, trying not to be seen, and just see what I can see out there. And so the DM's like, well, where are you moving your guy to? And he's like, just right here. He's like, well, you think you can see around that corner? And he's like, yeah, I could lean a little bit around the corner. And he's like, so you're going to move out so that you can see? And he's like, no, I'm not moving out into the open. I am just going to peek an eye around the corner to see what the walkway looks like. So you're gonna walk out to where you can see. He's like, no, I'm staying behind the corner so I can't be seen. Because we know the DM is trying to get us to, or trying to infer that we've walked out so that this wyvern can see us. And so we get all close to the edge and of the, because it's a covered room we're in, and then we're basically standing near the doorway, and then the plan is to inch out just far enough to be able to, look around the corner and look at the column walkway that we're next to, but not step out so that the wyvern rider can see us. Now, a wyvern in D&D is like a small reptile that flies, and it has a stinger. And so I don't want to mess with a wyvern. And so we're trying to figure out a way to get over to it without, or we're trying to figure out a way, or figure out what we're looking at, I guess, is what we're trying to do. And so, after much arguing over the fact that we weren't stepping out into the open, he finally understands that the sorcerer just wants to peek his eye around. I'm like, I'm going to cross across the back of the room, so there's no way I can be seen to the other side of the opening. And then I am going to stealth with my rogue. Now, rogues have super stealth. I'm like, so when I say I'm going to stealth, what I mean is that I am going to carefully watch the wyvern rider, which I assume I can see from here. And so after some of his random math calculation where he decided how far away it was, this is this is great. I'm like, so I'm gonna stealth, watching for him to look away before I move to the next column, and I'm just gonna move down the columns one by one because there are a bunch of columns on the walkway. Have I already been here? I feel like I've already been here. This place has already been searched. I thought I was coming to a new place. All I did was went back to an old place. Well, dang it. I'm going to go back down the road then and back to the west and head farther south down that road. And so anyway, so he finally understands what we're trying to do. I mean, we're using English, pretty simple English. He just refuses to hear what we're saying and wants to do it in a way that's harmful to us. That's his goal. Oh, I should have started with the other part of the story first. We'll get to that. And so, anyways, I tell him I want to move to the point where I'm 150 feet away from the guy, and he's like, okay, you're hidden, you're 150 feet away from the guy, because I rolled really well on my stealth. I can roll up to a 31, because my rogue has a plus 11 to his stealth at this point in the game, and so it's pretty easy for me to hide most of the time. And the way it's supposed to work is, unless they are actively looking for you, which this guy was, then you just have to beat their passive, which is usually around a 10 or a 12 or something like that. And so with a plus 11, it's pretty hard for me to get seen, or should be. In this case, I didn't get seen. In fact, I didn't get seen the entire night that I used stealth. It was pretty good. But I got up close enough. I shot the wyvern, and then combat starts, and I can't remember if I got another shot off against the wyvern or not, but then they went invisible, and so we ran away back to the well, we didn't run away, we retreated back to the safety of the hallways we were in, because I don't want an invisible wyvern stinging me from above. And so we tried to pull back into the hallway. We waited a bit. They never came. We heard him shout for reinforcements. We stepped out a little bit so we could see there were a bunch of guys gathered together. Sorcerer throws a fireball, wipes out most of them, and then the invisible wyvern attacks. And it skips the monk, which is controlled by our DM, flies right past him to get to my character, attacks my character instead. And, of course. So we keep attacking the wyvern. Eventually it dies, and then the dude drops off the back of the wyvern. Now, the wyvern is not that big. It's got wings, right? So, I mean, it can look big, but... Oh, the road doesn't go anywhere. It's a dead end. But it's not, it's not a dragon. But then he's like, you can't see over it. When the wizard or sorcerer wants to cast some spells past it. You can't see over its dead body. It's like 10 feet tall. I'm like, no, it's a wyvern, not a dragon. He started calling it a dragon at one point, too. So I'm not sure if he knows what a wyvern is, even though he's got the book. So, anyways, we eventually get past that, and then I have to sneak up to the top floor. I want to sneak up to the top floor with my rogue and get a sense of what's in this temple, because we were told the boss was there, and when we got in on the first floor, nobody was there. And so I try to sneak up, and he's making me repeatedly roll stealth and perception checks. Now you can just see. Perception is used to find something. I wasn't trying to find anything. I was just trying to look. And I used the word peek. And so I rolled a 30 stealth. Pretty impossible to beat at that point. 30 stealth. And although with his weird rules, it's beatable, because he's got this thing where if you roll a natural 20, it immediately becomes a 30. So, yeah. I don't know how that helps anybody. It just means that people with high skills, like my rogue, can get defeated by anybody with lesser skills. And so it kind of detracts from the whole I have super good stealth, because if I have super good stealth and I roll a 30, then that means that that means that I didn't make a mistake. I didn't make a mistake in my hiding. I know what I'm doing. That's my whole class thing. And then this person who doesn't have a super special ability in perception suddenly can see through my super hiding. I'm not saying like I rolled a 13, their passive perception is a 12, they shouldn't be able to, see me. I'm saying that I rolled really good. They shouldn't be able to see me. Because they only get like a +1 or maybe a +2 to being able to see through with perception. So at best, they should get a 22 versus my 30. But no, with his weird system, we get a 32, they get a 32. Either way, I didn't get seen. I don't know why I keep harping on the stealth thing. But he did make me roll like 4 times trying to get me to roll bad. He kept making me roll perceptions for something that should just be seeing. And when I failed my first perception check, I rolled a 1. He said that I didn't hear anything. And I'm like, I said I was peeking. Peek. Not listening. Peek. That's eyes, dude. Eyes. Eventually, after like 3 or 4 perception checks, I rolled a 22, because I do have special skills in perception. I think I have like a +4 to perception, so I rolled an 18, I got +4, makes it 22. And, yeah, and so I can't believe I haven't found a town to loot. This is ridiculous. And so eventually we were able to see what's going on in the room. Now we know she has the horn, and we know that the genie said she's going to summon him to fight us. And so we got in there, we started the combat, we attack her. I run my rogue right up to her and start attacking her. And then she makes a mistake. Not really a mistake, because she doesn't know what's coming, but she made a mistake. She cast an attack spell, because he was so giddy over her having high-level attack spells that he had her cast an attack spell. And because she cast a spell, she doesn't get to use the horn, because the horn requires an action, and so does using a spell, and you only get 1 action. So her action got used, and this is a place that I have looted before. You know what? There's a road right here. I'm gonna try that one. It looks like I can just drive straight through here. And so she cast her spell, and then it gets to my cleric's turn, and he drops silence. Now she can't make a sound. Also, I want to keep an eye out for coal. as I travel through this terrain. I think I might have to go to Burning Forest to get coal really well. But that was a thing I wanted to keep my eye out for as I traveled, was pockets of coal and niter. I know sometimes you find coal in just the forest, but I thought it was more prevalent in this. Maybe I'm thinking of Fire Forest, because I don't see any in here. I'll just be happy if I get through here without hitting a landmine. Come on. Nope. Nope, not over that hell. And so, so then she can't use the horn because she can't speak. And so we killed her and all our minions. And it wasn't an easy fight, but you know, we survived. And then we're trying to decide what to do with the horn. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna summon the horn, and he can help us out for a few minutes. And so now, looking in the book, the dude is listed as Chaotic Good. And Chaotic Good means that he likes to help people. Not this guy, though. This guy hates helping people. Just because. And so we use the horn, which requires him to fulfill a task. And then he makes me roll 2 perception checks. Not perception, I'm sorry. Persuasion checks to get the genie to obey the item that summons him so that he will do 1 task for the holder of the horn. And so I just want him to fight with us for a couple hours while we finish clearing out this dungeon. That's it. That's all I asked for, and then we'll smash the horn and send him. He was okay with fighting us so that we would smash the horn and free him, but he's not okay with fighting for us. Dang it, this road just ended too. He's not okay with fighting for us, just against us. You know what? That doesn't make him very friendly. And I got a little irritated. Not gonna lie. I am tired of every NPC being antagonistic toward us. It doesn't matter who we try to work with. They always are antagonistic and refuse to help. Every time. And then he gets mad because we won't talk to people. I'm like, what's the point? They're just gonna be mean and won't help. And I don't really need their help. I'm a hero. I'm a freaking hero. I have powers. We're not just like new heroes. We're technically level 8 heroes who aren't allowed to get our level 8 abilities, which means that we're like, one of us is worth 16 regular humans at this point. One of us. And there's 4 of us here. We don't need the people in the cities at this point. Other than, you know, someplace to dump stuff or maybe get food. That's it. I mean, you know, we're that powerful at this point. And, but no, he wants us to always hang out with the because it lets him talk. It lets him just talk, ramble on and on and on, without information. Nobody ever has any information. He always gives us a giant list of people to talk to, and they never help. They're never helpful. He doesn't even follow through on the quests sometimes correctly. Way back at the beginning of the previous storyline we went through, or was it this one? No, it was this campaign. The sorcerer touched a skull, and it gave him a buff, and the buff was undead won't attack him unless he's the only one there. The buff was supposed to make it so that undead would attack other people. And then as soon as we got to someplace with undead, they immediately attacked him. So he didn't even get so we got a quest to go do something. We weren't told what the reward does because he doesn't like to tell us anything. He likes to surprise us with the results. And I hate that too. Like, I've got a weapon. I don't know what it does. He won't tell me what it does. He says, when it happens, you'll find out. Well, fine. And but yeah, so we didn't even get the reward from that quest that one time, and we spent like 30 minutes with that quest, and it was pointless. It was beyond pointless. I hate it. I hate it. All right, now I've got to talk about one more thing about our D&D game here. And that's where we ended anyways, with that guy being mad at us because we wanted him to help us out for a couple hours because we didn't immediately smash the horn so he couldn't be summoned again. So he's okay with being summoned to fight us, but not okay with helping us. So here's the other thing that happened this week with our D&D game. Tuesday, so the day before our game, we get these messages, and they say, I'm thinking of changing the rules. I want to try it with this other way of doing things. Let me know what you think. And so we haven't given him the answer he wants, so he does this. He's passive aggressive too. So he wants us to say we want +2 on flanking. Flanking in D&D means that you are on the opposite side of a creature from someone else. Also that you're in melee range. And so what has happened is he read this thing from people who played other versions of the game and how they don't like flanking. And so they changed the rules because they want to discourage flanking. Now, flanking is not even a real rule. It's an optional rule. I mean, it's a real rule, but it's an optional rule. It's not something you have to play with. It's something you can play with. And so, because every other version of the game well, not version, but every other group he's seen play the game, or every group he's been a part of, has used flanking, we started this one with flanking. It's okay. It basically lets you re-roll your dice. You roll your 20-sided dice to hit twice, and you take the higher of the two. That's what flanking gives you. So if you don't flank, you just roll your dice normally. If you do flank, you get one extra roll. It's really not that big of a deal. And I don't think it's changed our game that much. But the people on Reddit hate flanking in the posts that he was reading. And so, because he gets his opinion from things like that, he now does not like flanking. Whoa. The road ended and changed to something else? This is... weird. I've never seen the road do that before. What am I looking at up here, too? Oh, it's a city. It looked like a huge bunch of buildings, or like a walled fortress, almost. This does look like maybe a good place. Maybe? I'm not seeing much in the way of stores yet. But it is, it does look like one of those old-fashioned city... Oh, post office, that's full of safes. Or the last one I was in was. And, anyways, so I'm like, you know what, dude, if you don't want to use flanking, don't use flanking. Because in reality, only 2 of the characters ever even sort of use flanking, and those 2 characters are my characters. The other guy plays a sorcerer. He does not get in melee range. Flanking only works for melee range. And so I occasionally use it because my 2 characters are the front line for our party. Because his character won't stay in the front line. He runs away. Front line means you're the guy standing next to the monsters to stop them from getting through. And so he runs away. He literally runs away constantly. And he'll run up, he'll hit something, and then he'll run away. That's how he plays his character. Because he's a bit of a coward. He also calls him the finisher, because he waits until something's almost dead, and then he runs up and attacks it. Which he does in every D&D game I play with him. I think it comes from when he played MMOs, because back in the day, MMOs were coded weird, and whoever killed the monster, it didn't matter how much damage anyone else did to it, whoever killed the monster is the one who got to loot it. And so I feel like he's trying to be a loot ninja, which he basically is anyways, because he's always the first one to search before the DM can even finish describing what's going on. And so I think in his mind, he thinks that if he gets the kill on it, then he gets to loot it. And so he only attacks when something's about to die. Which means he does stuff like, I'm going to hold my attack until somebody else attacks this, and then if it's still alive when they're finished, then I'll attack. Why don't you just attack? And then that way it dies in the middle of the other guy's turn, and we're safe. How about that? How about we go with that option? It seems like a much better option than what you're offering. Dang it, I've got so much stuff. I need to... Oh, you see that? I did bring drink. I just brought red tea. And so... Anyways, I need to finish this story. So, so he doesn't want us to have... he doesn't want us to have flanking anymore, he says. He wants to change it to a +2 to our rolls. It's extremely rare for me to fail that close. So it's not worth my effort. It's not worth my effort. And so the apparently he told the other guy while they were discussing the game that he didn't want flanking in the game anymore because he felt it was making it too easy for us to kill things. Because he really hates that we kill things. He hates that we survive our combats and can move on to the next part of the storyline, I guess. He has made comments that it's too hard to kill you guys. And so the other guy's like, so you're still trying to get rid of the flanking because of that boss you were telling me about? And so yeah, I guess that was his reasoning, but really the only people that use it is my characters, and I wasn't shocked that he was trying to do something that would weaken my characters, because, I mean, we're level 8, we're supposed to be powerful at this point. Bring in more powerful creatures. In fact, don't bring in more powerful creatures, just follow what the book says. We're at the level we're supposed to be. Then I'm like, dude, I don't care. Keep it, take it out, whatever. It makes no difference to me. And so the other guy posted, and then he said that he had reasons for doing it, but he didn't give us any reasons. And so I had some time, and I sat down, and I read through... Oh, I was going to unload this gasoline into my mini bike. I had read through the posts that he had linked to us as to why he wanted to get rid of flanking. And I read through them, and everybody kept saying the same thing. They kept saying, we don't like flanking because it makes people not want to use other means of getting advantage. But that's all they ever said. And there aren't other means to get advantage, really. We don't have the right class types to take advantage of skills like shove, other than him. His character could totally take advantage of shove, but he's not helpful to the party. And so, like, he goes out of his way not to be helpful to the party, it feels like sometimes. And so, we just can't, we don't have advantage. We don't have advantage anymore. It gives us +2. That's not really an advantage, so there's no reason to try and maneuver my characters so that I have one on opposite sides. Most of the time it doesn't happen anyways because I have to shove my cleric into the middle of the melee attacks and my thief into the middle of a different group of melee attacks because there's no one else to stop the bad guys from getting to our sorcerer. And because the fighter in our group is the monk, and the monk does not stay near the bad guys. He specifically took Feat, which is a special ability that allows him to run away, and he uses it every time he... Ugh, I don't want to go into a big building. I just want a normal stores. Just normal stores is what I'm looking for. And so he... yeah, I don't know. So flanking's gone, and then he also posted that he's been learning about using 4th edition stuff in 5th edition. And we're playing 5th edition. We've only ever played 5th edition. None of us have ever played, including him, have ever played 4th edition. So I don't know why he wants to bring 4th edition stuff into 5th edition. And I did watch a video on it, which I assume is the video he watched. And it starts off with, I'm pretty sure the reason why he wants to do it. Do you find it hard to challenge your players to difficult combat? Do you find combat boring? Well, he hates combat, and he hates the fact he can't kill us so far, because we managed to make the best use out of our resources, like you're supposed to do. Alright. But yeah, so we did alright Wednesday night. We still didn't level. So that's 2 weeks in a row we've had the XP to make it to the new level, but he won't let us level. And yeah, and then he just really went crazy with this whole flanking thing. One person, his character, only one to even attempt to use it. Nobody else ever was in position to even attempt it. Nobody else's characters were close enough to get 2 of them on either side. He could easily be the person responsible for giving us flanking, except that his monk won't stay next to the bad guys. In fact, he's gimping my fighter, or my rogue, because I need an ally within 5 feet, but he runs up on his turn, hits the bad guy, and then runs away. And so I don't have anyone within 5 feet, so I don't get to even use my class abilities, because he finds my class abilities overpowering. Oh, that was the thing. I asked him what his problem was with flanking, and he said it doesn't allow you to try and do other ways to get advantage. And I'm like, what other ways are there? I don't know what you're talking about. Because there are other classes that have advantage giving abilities. The rogue can hide, but my rogue is now a rogue warrior who stands at the front line. So can't hide while you're standing next to the bad guys. And the cleric has a spell, a single spell, that can grant one-time advantage. I guess he wants me to use my spell slots for that, but honestly, I have to keep them for healing to keep us alive, and it's why we stay alive. And so that's never going to happen. And, yeah, I don't know. I really don't understand his desire to suddenly change over. He says he's got a whole bunch of stuff he's looking at right now, and there's probably going to be a bunch of rule changes coming. And there's a bunch of stuff he wants to try out. It's a thing that they suggest, well, they say this is a sign of doing it wrong, and that if you want to make major changes like this, you should probably do it when you start a new campaign. And we're about halfway through this one, and through this story arc, and so once we finish this story arc, this campaign will be over, and we'll be starting with new characters, I assume, if we keep playing. So I don't understand his wanting to change the rules now, rather than just letting us finish up and then start over with something else. I don't know. It's crazy. Anyways, with that, I am going to call it a day. I don't feel like I accomplished a whole lot on here. I didn't see any of the supplies I was looking for. This was not a great town like I was hoping. I guess there's a whole section here, though, I haven't really searched through, so maybe I should just get in there and finish searching that. But yeah, so click, leave a like, subscribe, share, and catch the next one, and I will talk to you later.